everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Have you ever heard about an animal that can live in space? It sounds like science fiction, but it's real. Meet the tardigrade, also called the water bear or moss piglet. Don't let the cute names fool you. This is the toughest little creature on the planet, and once you learn about it, you'll never look at life the same way again. Tardigrades are survival champions. While most living things on Earth struggle to survive outside their natural environment, tardigrades have been found thriving in rainforests, deep oceans, frozen glaciers, hot springs, and even in the most unexpected place, outer space. In 2007, scientists actually launched them into space, exposed them to the vacuum, the freezing temperatures, and intense radiation from the sun, and they survived. Some even reproduced afterwards. That means tardigrades are officially the only known animal to survive space exposure without protection. So, what's their secret? It's something called cryptobiosis. When the environment becomes too extreme weather, it's too hot, too cold, or too dry, tardigrades essentially shut themselves down. They curl up into a tiny, shriveled ball called a ton and slow their metabolism to almost zero. In this state, they can survive without food, without water, even without oxygen for decades. There's even a study showing a tardigrade being revived after more than 30 years in frozen cryptobiosis. Imagine falling asleep in the 1980s and waking up in today's world like nothing happened. But here's the mind-blowing twist. Despite all of this toughness, tardigrades are ridiculously small. Most are less than a millimeter long, so tiny, you need a microscope to see them. Picture a little gummy bear with stubby legs and tiny claws, crawling around in a droplet of water. You could fit a whole group of tardigrades on the head of a pin. The fact that something so microscopic is tougher than almost any giant creature on Earth is pretty wild, right? Now, let's dive deeper. Scientists have discovered that tardigrades produce a special protein that acts like a shield against radiation and DNA damage. Normally, radiation would destroy the DNA of living organisms, but tardigrades can repair their genetic code and keep going. There's even research suggesting that if humans could borrow some of these mechanisms, we might one day be able to survive long-term space travel or develop better ways to fight radiation-related illnesses. In other words, these tiny creatures might hold the key to humanity's future survival. Here's a fun but less popular fact. Tardigrades don't just survive extreme heat and cold, they've endured temperatures close to 150 degrees Celsius, which is hotter than boiling water, and also survived being chilled close to absolute zero. That's about minus 272 degrees Celsius. Just a fraction above the coldest possible temperature in the universe. Nothing else on Earth can pull off that kind of stunt. And they don't just resist extreme temperature. Tardigrades have been tested under pressures more than 6 times greater than the deepest parts of the ocean, and they still live. In fact, some scientists joke that if every other species on Earth went extinct tomorrow, tardigrades would probably still be crawling around as if nothing happened. They've already outlived multiple mass extinctions in Earth's history. But here's what most people don't realize. Despite their indestructible reputation, tardigrades are not immortal. In normal conditions, like when they're active and not in cryptobiosis, they usually live only about 2 to 3 years. It's their ability to pause life and go into survival mode that gives them the illusion of immortality. So, while they may be tiny tanks, they still have limits. And let's not forget, tardigrades do have a regular daily life. They're found in moss, lichen, soil, and leaf litter. They feed on plant cells, bacteria, and even smaller microscopic animals. In fact, if you go outside right now and scrape some moss off a rock, there's a good chance you might collect a tardigrade colony without even knowing it. All you'd need is a microscope to see them crawling around, looking like little gummy bears. Now, here's something that really fascinates scientists. Tardigrades might be one of the few animals capable of surviving interplanetary travel, hitchhiking on asteroids or space dust, potentially spreading life across the universe. This concept is called panspermia, the idea that life might spread between planets. If that's true, tardigrades might not just be Earth's toughest survivors, they could also be life's ultimate travelers. So, when you think about it, the tardigrade challenges the way we define what life really is. It's microscopic, it's strange-looking, it spends most of its time in damp moss. But it can survive the vacuum of space, boiling heat, crushing pressure, and radiation levels that would kill humans instantly. Not bad for something smaller than the tip of a pencil. The next time someone tells you that life is fragile, just remember the tardigrade. These tiny water bears are proof that sometimes the smallest creatures are the most unstoppable. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the incredible world of tardigrades, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what's the craziest fact about tardigrades you just learned.